Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Educational AD Podcast. We'll be right back with today's guest, but first, let's hear from our podcast sponsors. We want to thank Final Forms for their support of the Educational AD Podcast. Final Forms is the industry leader in registration, but Final Forms is more than just registration. Final Forms is a team, it's technology, and it provides schools with compliance, communication, and risk management solutions. Final Forms helps your stakeholders with mobile accessibility, and it has reminders for parents about policies, about physicals, and all the forms that go with athletics. Final Forms also helps with team communication, attendance, and even certification management for coaches. And for athletic directors, Final Forms can help with eligibility, with rosters, and all the reports that come across your desk. And it does this with secure language translation and ADA compliance. You know, it's time for you to talk with a team that's walked in your shoes. To take the next steps, find out what Final Forms can do for you, go to finalforms.com/Jake. That's finalforms.com/Jake to get started. We also want to thank our newest sponsor, Area Scouts, for their support of this podcast. Area Scouts provides athletes ages 8 and up with state-of-the-art assessments and sport and movement-specific development programs that work for all skill levels in all sports. Area Scouts also provides a one-of-a-kind worldwide online platform emphasizing sport-specific performance while focusing on overall athlete health and safety. And the best part, Area Scouts works with youth, high school, and college coaches from across the country. Go to areascouts.com now to enroll your athlete or your team in the base assessment today. That's areascouts.com. We also want to say thanks to Sideline Interactive. Sideline Interactive's indoor scoring tables and video boards can generate $10,000 or more every year while creating the ultimate game day experience for your athletes. Go to sidelineinteractive.com or call 832-786-0302 to schedule a live web demo and see their tables and boards in action. You can also email them at sales@sidelineinteractive.com. That's sales@sidelineinteractive.com and see exactly what their fantastic products can do for you. We also want to say thanks to Wall of Fame by Vital Signs. You know, they're on a mission to bring your school's legacy to life. They have a variety of interactive touchscreen consoles and an extensive library of templates to help recognize the athletic achievements of your students, both past and present. Let them help you showcase your school's diverse history and your proudest moments, and go to vitalsignswalloffame.com. You can also call them at 614-981-3589 or shoot them an email at sales@vitalsignswalloffame.com. That's sales@vitalsignswalloffame.com. We also want to say thanks to Huddle. Over 200,000 teams, including some of the best in the world, use Huddle to help their teams play better using video and analytics. Huddle is the complete performance platform. They have online tools, mobile and desktop apps, smart cameras like the Huddle Focus, but there's so much more. Huddle's also built for every level of play, from club and youth teams all the way through high schools and colleges, and even the pros use Huddle to help their teams play better. You're in pretty good company with over 6 million users, including the coaches, the teams you're trying to get to recruit your kids. You want to find out more about what Huddle can do for you and your program and how your school can become a Huddle school, go to huddle.com and talk to their professionals. Remember, at Huddle, we power sports. We also want to thank Athletic Surveys by Lifetrack for sponsoring the Athletic Director's Toolbox segment of the podcast. Athletic Surveys by Lifetrack are a quick, easy, and affordable way for you to collect comprehensive data that allows you to evaluate and improve your entire athletic program. Athletic Surveys by Lifetrack also connects you with the 95% of the players and the parents who really love your program, and gives them a voice to help demonstrate the importance that a positive athletic experience has for them. Go to athleticsurveys.com and check out their testimonials, and then give them a call at 1-800-738-6466, or you can email them at info@athleticsurveys.com to get started. If you've never used a survey to take the pulse of your parents or your student athletes, you're really missing out. Talk to the folks at Athletic Surveys by Lifetrack and let them help you take your athletic program from good to great. And we want to say thanks to Hometown Ticketing, the leading digital ticketing provider to schools and colleges. You can find out more about what Hometown Ticketing can do for you and your school by going to hometownticketing.com and talk to their experts. Hometown Ticketing, simple and easy online ticketing. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Educational AD Podcast. Our guest today is Lisa Corprew. She's a certified master athletic administrator, and she's the student activities coordinator at Bayside High School in Virginia Beach, Virginia. We were just talking before we came on. She was also a guest on Jim Harris's podcast. Jim's been a guest on our podcast as well. So she's a media star. So Lisa, welcome to the Educational AD Podcast.
Thank you. You forgot to add that it's a great day to be a Marlin. So that's usually how I introduce myself. So thank you for the opportunity to speak with you. I guess we want to start with my background, correct?
Well, yeah, we do always like to let our listeners have a chance to get to know our guests. So give us that 5-minute bio, where you were born, where you grew up, and maybe how your path has led you to Bayside.
Okay, well, I think it was a gift. I am a Bayside grad, graduated from Bayside in 1990. My parents lived in the Bayside zone. They actually still live in the house where we grew up. My sisters and brothers, my sister and two brothers both graduated from Bayside High School. So it's a great day to be a Marlin. I don't know what else to say about that. From Bayside, I went on to East Carolina University, was afforded an opportunity to play softball on a scholarship. So I was a varsity letter winner for 4 years at East Carolina. And once I graduated from East Carolina, after obtaining my degree in sports management, I was home looking for work and not successful. And my high school softball coach, Conrad Parker, got me a job here at the school as a teacher assistant. And it just so happened that the student activity coordinator at Bayside High School, Tony South, was retiring in a couple years. So they put me in a position and trained me to give me an opportunity to possibly take over for him. In 1999, Mr. South decided that he was going to retire. And our then principal, Josh Darden, was going to be new to the building, did interviews, and decided that he liked me. So since 1999 and here, and now this is where I sit.
Well, I always find it interesting for people who have gone back to their school and worked there. I still remember 100 years ago, I graduated from college as a teacher and a coach. And actually my best friend from high school did the same thing. And we both ended up back at our high school as substitute teachers one day. And we walked into the faculty room for lunchtime. And here's all of our old coaches, our old teachers, and they turn around and they go, "You two guys became teachers? I can't believe it." So how was that going back to your school? Any deja vu moments or anything?
Kind of like Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz. There's no place like home. That's what I always say. I like to wear my little red sneakers and I click my heels 3 times and I say it. There's no place like home. So in the beginning, yes, it was kind of weird being on this side with your teachers, and you come to find out that your teachers are human and they're not some superheroes, although we do superhero things for kids every single day. But and now here I sit in this capacity, getting to see kids come back. So it's been an amazing experience.
Again, another thing, and folks listening, you can't see this until this episode gets up on YouTube, but I just love the office background. It is nothing but, athletics and sports stuff from Bayside. Very, very cool. Again, for listeners, we're visiting today with Lisa Corprew. She's a certified master athletic administrator, and she's the Director of Student Activities at Bayside High School in Virginia Beach, Virginia. Going to take a quick break and hear from one of our sponsors, but please stay with us. This is the Educational AD Podcast. We want to thank our newest sponsor, Area Scouts, for their support of the podcast. Area Scouts provides athletes ages 8 and up with state-of-the-art assessments and sport and movement-specific development programs for all skill levels in all sports. Area Scouts also provides a one-of-a-kind worldwide online platform emphasizing sport-specific performance while focusing on athlete health and safety. And the best part, Area Scouts works with youth, high school, and college coaches from across the country. Go to areascouts.com to enroll your athlete or team in the base assessment program today. That's areascouts.com. Welcome back, everyone. We're visiting today with Lisa Corprew. She's a certified master athletic administrator, and she's at Bayside High School in Virginia Beach, Virginia. Lisa, you already talked about how you came back to your own high school. Got to be a really cool experience. But let's talk about the job. How was that, transitioning from, the teacher coach, entry level position to the one in charge, making decisions and leading others. Any things stick out about that time?
So absolutely, a couple things stick out. You get to, I was fortunate enough to assist Mr. South as his assistant to the position. So I thought I was ready, but until you sit in the seat, there are things that come up that you have no idea, like telling your high school basketball coach that won back-to-back state titles in basketball, that he was late in submitting paperwork. That is tough, learning to do that in the beginning. Also learning to delegate some of, we want to be everywhere every single time for everyone, but it's just not humanly possible. So that's something that you have to learn. And I think it took me 25 years to learn that. That part of the job. So there are times where you are definitely overwhelmed and you don't know where to turn, but I have been fortunate enough to be in an area where some people that sat in this capacity for other buildings were valuable resources to me. So it is important that you are not afraid to pick up the telephone or text for new ADs, to reach out to some of the veteran or someone that you're close to help guide you through the work when it gets tough for you.
You brought up a very interesting point, and I certainly can relate. As athletic directors, I think, a part of us is wired to, get the job done. And coming in, new or even having been there for a while, sometimes it's hard to, let go because you really want to make sure it gets the job done. What were some things that you did, maybe with your staff or coaches, to kind of develop their leadership tools so that they could take some of that pressure off, so you didn't have to be everywhere every minute of the day? Anything stick out for that?
Well, all coaches come with different strengths. So I have learned that you'll have a coach or two on your staff that they are always willing to do those extra things, like set up the field. They let you know when the equipment is broken. And, sometimes coaches, they wait until the day of to let you know that stuff is broken. So I had a really good our girls soccer coach, when he first came into this capacity, he wanted to help not just girls soccer. So he was kind of like, I would say, my facilities guy. So he would walk around and keep me abreast of anything that was going on. So that helped me out that way, to learn to delegate like that. And then I had a alumni who has always been very dedicated to the program, who would always come back and dedicate his time. So I learned to trust, to allow him to do some of the paperwork. So you just have to be able to trust the people that you work with, to get some of those things done, because I know, we all learn that we can't do it all.
And you brought up a great point to that sometimes these people, they're right under our nose, they're coaches, they're alums, and many times, at least hopefully it's many times, they're coming to us and they're saying, hey, I'd like to help, or what can I do to help out? I mean, that's gold, finding that person that has the desire. And as you said, trusting them to get the job done for you. Very, very cool stuff. Once again, we're visiting today with Lisa Corprew. She's the activities director at Bayside High School in Virginia Beach, Virginia. We're going to take another quick break. Let's come back, please. This is the Educational AD Podcast. We also want to say thanks to Final Forms for their support. Final Forms is the industry leader in registration, but they're more than just forms. Final Forms is a team, it's technology, and it provides schools with compliance, communication, and risk management solutions. Final Forms helps your stakeholders with mobile accessibility, has reminders for parents about policies, about physicals, and all the forms that go with being an athletic parent. Final Forms helps with team communication and attendance, and even certification management for coaches. And for athletic directors, Final Forms can help with eligibility, with rosters, and all the reports that come across your desk. And it does this with secure language translation and ADA compliance. It's time for you to take the next steps and talk to a team that's walked in your shoes. Go to finalforms.com/Jake for more information. That's finalforms.com/Jake to get started with Final Forms. Welcome back, everyone, to the Educational AD Podcast. Lisa, one of the questions that we always ask our athletic director guests has to do with the mentors that they've had in their life. It's such a big part of our profession. So who are some of the people that, helped you along the way? The expression I like to use is, I still hear those voices in my head. So whose voice do you still hear?
So of course, as we get older, I don't know about for you, but for me, I feel like I'm becoming my mother, and I am, some of those things you would say, I would never say that. Now I find myself saying those things all the time. So my mother definitely has played a big part on who I am today. And of course, so in Virginia Beach, we have 11 high schools, and of those 11 high schools, we're student activity coordinators. I have worked with 5 of them happen to serve as VIAAA presidents. So they were my mentors: David Rhodes, Carol Corey, Bruce Phelps, John Williams. They all were here, and 2 of those 4 are now in the NIAAA Hall of Fame. So
Wow.
I have been very fortunate to be around some really great leaders here in the beach. And then when you talk about the state level, there is Dave Nelson, Bruce Bowen, Bob Stratton, and Sandy Hadaway. They also helped guide me through who I am. Actually, the reason that I really got involved in the VIAAA is because of Deb Tyson. They were looking for someone to head up the technology committee. And I used to go to the state conference, and I like to take pictures. So they were looking for someone, and I don't know how taking pictures equates to running technology, but somehow I became a technology guru. So Deb Tyson is actually the reason that I got my first start at the state level.
Yeah, again, we're going to talk about that in just a minute, but the names that you rattle off, for some of our younger ADs, you're absolutely right. Those are Hall of Fame. Those are some legendary names, and I'm sure your name's going to be added to that list as your career continues. Looking back, and you've been doing this for a while, but what's an example of where one of those mentors, really, helped solve a problem, or really, gave you a nugget that now you continue to use 10, 15 years later? Can you think of an example?
So I'm going to go with David Rhodes. He has the patience. I don't know how he does it, but he always manages to be even killed no matter the amount of heat that is being applied to his seat. So I wish that I could remain calm and a great demeanor under pressure, but he's taught me not to take things personal. Well, attempt not to take things personal. Sometimes that's a lot more difficult than we would like, because we do express our emotions a lot. But yeah, he's taught me some patience. So, you have this parent that calls and you're fired up because they're accusing your coach of something that is totally not true. So now that he serves in our central office, you're calling. And when I get excited, my voice is like, so I get like super high pitched when I get excited. So he's like, let's take a deep breath. Are these things that you can control? Let's calm down and let's talk it through. But he's always rational with his decisions and he always manages to stay neutral. I don't know how he does it, but I try to take some calming presence from him when I'm thinking about dealing with situations. So he'd be the first one that I think of that's really mentored to help me get through some tough situations when we're dealing with stuff in the building.
Now, again, I can really relate to that one. I was always very envious of, those people that as a very young AD, again, a very long time ago, just always calm, always collected. And I was more, oh, we got to do this, we got to do that, and try to solve it yesterday. But very good example. Once again, for our listeners, we're visiting today with Lisa Corprew. She's a certified master athletic administrator. She's the director of student activities for Bayside High School in Virginia Beach, Virginia. We're going to take another break, but we will be back. This is the Educational AD Podcast. We also want to say thanks to Huddle for their support. Remember, at Huddle, we power sports. Over 200,000 teams use Huddle to help their teams play better using video and analytics. Huddle's the complete performance platform. They have online tools, smart cameras like the Huddle Focus. There's always been analytics, but there's a whole lot more. Huddle's also built for every level of play, from club and youth teams all the way through high school and college programs. And even the pros use Huddle to help their teams play at the highest level. You're in pretty good company with over 6 million users, including your student athletes and the coaches of the teams you're trying to get to recruit your kids. If you want to find out more about what Huddle can do for you and your program and how your school can become a Huddle school, go to huddle.com and talk to their professionals. Remember, at Huddle, we power sports. Welcome back to our interview with Lisa Corprew from Virginia Beach High School in Virginia Beach, Virginia. Lisa, you talked a little bit earlier about how you got involved with the VIAAA in your state. Let's talk a little bit about the NIAAA. Share with our listeners, many of whom are young ADs just starting their journey. How'd you get started taking the LTI courses and that led to your CAA certification? And then maybe talk a little bit about your CMAA project.
Okay, well, the one thing that I would encourage a new AD is try to carve out some time to attend the national conference. It is like the best networking source that we ever have as athletic administrators. My very first national conference, I think, was Tennessee, and just how nice Tennessee is in December is amazing. But on top of that, you meet people from all over the world that share. The one thing that you learn when you go to the national conference or even your state conference is that you are not the only person dealing with some of those matters, like the difficult parents or transportation or difficulty hiring coaches. What do we need to do to protect our officials? So you see from a broader scope at the national level when you get to go to that conference that you're not alone. So, and from there, you go to the first workshops and the sessions at the national conference and you learn about the leadership training classes. And I have been afforded the opportunity to take 25 leadership courses right now, up to now. So then I have a lot of benefit. I guess I have been a benefactor of a lot of people from my state continuing to encourage me to get involved at the state level. So it started as on the technology chair, and then I moved. If I'm going to come back locally because we have the Eastern Virginia Athletic Directors Association. So I started in that association as the secretary, and then I worked my way from secretary to president, and that was at the local level. And then from there, we went to the state level, and I worked my way from secretary, then to president-elect to president. And then we have to sit on the NIAAA board. It's a once in a like 24 years an opportunity to get to be a board representative. So our state, they did a series of interviews and they selected me as the candidate. So I'm super excited that I get to represent Virginia on the national board. So that's my string to the national board. And previous to that, I was able to serve on the publications committee. It's like the best professional development ever by getting to attend your conferences and workshops and meeting some of the best brains in athletic administration ever.
Wow, I didn't know that. I know several people on that have served on publications, and you're right, very cool committee. It's almost as cool as the certification committee, where I served for about 9 years, but very good stuff. Real quick, I mentioned your CMAA project. What was it, and how was that process of completing the project component of your CMAA?
In the beginning, you're super hesitant about submitting for your CMAA, but I'm certain that everyone that's been in the position for a long time, you have a project that you can complete. But so I have recently, in the past couple years, served as a co-chair for our new athletic directors workshop. And so when you go to the new ADs workshop, I remember back in 1999 when I first attended, I received like a pile of books of everything that you need to know about athletic administration. So I decided that it would be best, since we are in the technology age, to make everything available digitally for new ADs. So I created a resource guide of everything that you needed to know, or that you need to know, not just for the new AD, for the veteran AD that's looking for a change of something else. So I created a resource guide, and that was my CMAA project. We share that resource guide at our new ADs workshop, and it's available on the VIAAA website for anyone that would like to take a look.
Wow, that's a really cool project. And you're absolutely right. ADs that are listening right now, you're already doing something at your school with your kids, your coaches, your facility that would make a great CMAA project. So don't feel like you have to go out and reinvent the wheel, but very cool. We're going to take another quick break. Once again, we're visiting with Lisa Corprew. She's a certified master athletic administrator, and she's the athletic activities coordinator at Bayside High School in Virginia Beach, Virginia. Please stay with us. This is the Educational AD Podcast. We want to say thanks to Sideline Interactive for their support of the Educational AD Podcast. Sideline Interactive's indoor scoring tables and video boards can generate $10,000 or more every year, while also creating the ultimate game day experience for your student athletes. Go to sidelineinteractive.com or call them at 832-786-0302 to schedule a live web demo and see their tables and boards in action. You can also email them at sales@sidelineinteractive.com and see exactly what these fantastic products can do for you. That's sales@sidelineinteractive.com. Welcome back, everyone, to the Educational AD Podcast. Lisa, I'm going to put you on the spot here. One of the things we like to do with our podcast is this idea of sharing best practices. So what are some things that you do at at Bayside, that when you take a step back and look at them with a critical eye, you still say, boy, we really do a great job with this? What are some best practices you can share?
So it's simple, but the first one is I have a little basket of snacks on the corner of my desk as you come into my office, and kids are always hungry. So that was a way for me to engage students in the hallway and learn some new names, and also teach them some manners, while also enticing them for a snack. So it used to be that they just run in and say, "Can I have?" So the first thing I say is, when you enter a room, you have to say hello. introduce yourself to everyone in the room. So that was a way to kind of teach some of our students, sometimes they lose some of that part about respect and some manners. So that's a small thing that I like to share, just a little snack basket and teaching everyone just to say hello and greet people as you come into a room. The other thing that I'm super proud of is we do an excellence in academic and athletics t-shirt for any athlete. If you letter in a sport, well, basically, if you finish a sports season, at the end of the year, your name goes in the banquet that you've maintained a 3.0 or above. We give you a little certificate and you get a t-shirt that says it's excellence in academics and athletics. So just to say thank you for maintaining high academic standards as a student athlete at Bayside High School.
The acknowledging students for that participation, it seems like such a simple thing, but it just really has an impact on kids and other people. They see that recognition. Very cool. Any of those episodes, come to mind that wow, this kid was really thankful for that particular shout out. Something come to mind for you?
Let me see. It's most of the time it's the quiet kid that does everything that they're supposed to, that they finally just they come up to you at the end and just say thanks for noticing that I did a good job. So we have one young man who he holds the door open for people just in between class change, which is amazing. So I put together like these little gift bags. We call them our little spirit packs. So I gave him that spirit pack, and just the smile that you get from recognizing him, that's the best gift that we can ever receive from a student athlete or a student in our buildings, right? Just a smile.
Yeah. And again, you bring up another great point, those quiet kids that they do everything that they're supposed to do. You don't have to get on there, but or it's not a great comeback story. The kid, failed all these grades or did this and then made a comeback. They're those, whatever you want to call them, blue collar kids, plugger kids. They just go along and do everything. Those are the kids that sometimes from a recognition standpoint, fall through the cracks. And those are the backbone of our program. So programs. So again, kudos to you for, recognizing those kids and giving them that little moment. Very neat stuff. Once again, our guest today is Lisa Corprew. She is a certified master athletic administrator, and she is the student activities coordinator at Bayside High School in Virginia Beach, Virginia. We're going to be back with some more wisdom, but let's take another break and hear from one of our sponsors. This is the Educational AD Podcast. We also want to say thanks to Vital Signs by Wall of Fame for sponsoring the Educational AD Podcast. Wall of Fame is on a mission to bring your school's legacy to life. They have a variety of interactive touchscreen consoles and an entire library of templates to help recognize the athletic achievements of your students, both past and present. Let them help you showcase your school's diverse history and your proudest moments, and go to vitalsignswalloffame.com. You can also call them at 614-981-3589 or email them at sales@vitalsignswalloffame.com. That's sales@vitalsignswalloffame.com. Welcome back to the Educational AD Podcast. We're visiting today with Lisa Corprew, certified master athletic administrator from Virginia Beach, Virginia. Lisa, one of our longtime questions has to do with this idea of doing a better job at being socially aware. How can an athletic administrator, do a better job in this area so they are, servicing all of their stakeholders? Do you have any advice for us?
That's a tough one. The one thing that I think that we need to do a better job of is we probably need to talk to all of our athletes and maybe get to know them, maybe learn their names, ask them how they're doing. And I like to have an open door policy so that if students, coaches particularly students. If you have something that you need to share, please come into my office so that we can sit down and see if we can come up with a resolution to your concern. Just as simple as building better relationships with our student athletes, I think will be a start. I think if they view you as a human being and not some superhero, I guess, per se, like when I first came into the position, I didn't really know what to expect from my teachers, but then I learned that they're really people too. The same thing with their athletes. They need to learn that we're here as a resource for them and we're here to help. And not to always be the lecturer, but we're also here to provide some guidance for them by getting to know them. I think that's what we can do a better job of with our student athletes.
Looking at your school there at Virginia Beach, are there any things that you're doing to kind of help that along that might be good tips for some of our listeners?
Well, we kind of lost a little bit of it with the pandemic, but we are trying to get back to, we have a student athlete leadership team. So once a month, we get to meet with our athletes of each team, and they get to share with us some of their concerns or where they would like to see our athletic department, how they would like to see us grow. Next year, we're hoping to do different field trips with that group of students once 9 weeks, basically, and then do different activities and involve some community service with those groups starting next year. So we've already started to put those on the calendar, and hopefully we do a better job of reaching everyone.
Okay. We're going to do this at the end of the podcast, but if one of our listeners wanted to reach out and pick your brain a little bit, find out more about how you do things at Bayside, what's the best way that they can get in touch with you?
So you can email me at lcorprew@vbschools.com, or you can call me in the office at 757-648-5221. And remember, it's always a great day to be a Marlin.
Lisa Corprew from Bayside High School. This has been really cool getting to know you. And again, we refer to you as a media star these days, but we're not done yet. We always like to wrap up with our athletic director toolbox segment. And so we're going to take a quick break. We're going to hear from Athletic Surveys by Lifetrack that sponsor the AD Toolbox. And when we come back, we're going to find out what Lisa Corprew is going to put into her new athletic director toolbox. Please stay with us. This is the Educational AD Podcast. We want to thank Athletic Surveys by Lifetrack for sponsoring the AD Toolbox segment. Athletic Surveys by Lifetrack are a quick, easy, and affordable way for you to collect comprehensive data that allows you to evaluate and improve your entire athletic program. Athletic Surveys by Lifetrack also gives the 95% of the parents and the student athletes who really love your program a voice, and it helps demonstrate the importance that a positive athletic experience has for them. Go to athleticsurveys.com and check out their testimonials, and then give them a call at 1-800-738-6466, or you can email them at info@athleticsurveys.com to get started. If you've never used a survey to take the pulse of your parents or your student athletes, you're really missing out. Talk to the folks at Athletic Surveys by Lifetrack and let them show you how to take your athletic program from good to great. Well, again, we've been visiting with Lisa Corprew. She's a certified master athletic administrator, longtime veteran of the athletic director's chair. But right now, I'm going to challenge her to send out a brand new athletic director on their very first job. But I'm only going to let her put 3 things in their toolbox. Lisa, what 3 items are going to go into your athletic director toolbox?
Okay, I think the first thing in my toolbox for new ADs, I'm going to say use a calendar. And it's going to be important that when you are penciling everyone in on that calendar, that you also remember to pencil you and your family in. We're in the business of always providing and dealing with other people's problems. So we also need to deal with and find time to deal with our problems. So If we don't do that, learn to do that early, it's tougher later in our careers to find time to do that. So start sooner rather than later than doing that. The second thing I would say is remember in athletic administration, unlike coaches, we are always willing to share our playbooks, if you will. So use your network and find a good mentor. There's always someone that is willing to share what we've learned in this profession. And the third thing I would say is our checklist and our task list. Remember to keep those monthly checklists and task lists, and those checklists are only as good as they are evolving, because as our position evolves, so too will your checklist. So those are my 3 tools for the new AD.
Wow. Again, outstanding tool recommendations. Just kind of follows along with, what you've shared today. The people that have helped and mentored you. Now you're going to make sure you're going to give that back to that next set of next generation of athletic directors. One more time, Lisa, if one of our listeners wanted to reach out and pick your brain, and listeners, I think you should, what's the best way that they can get in touch with you?
You can reach out to me via email at lcorprew@vbschools.com, or hit me in the office at 757-648-5221. And remember that as you grow, so too do your communities.
Okay. I thought you were going to give us the great day phrase.
And
I
it's
used to do
always
that all
a
the time.
great day to be a Marlin.
I would do that all the time with ours. That's a great catchphrase. I love it. Lisa Corprew from Bayside High School in Virginia Beach, Virginia. Thank you so much for being on the podcast today.
Thank you so much for the chance. It was a pleasure to meet you.
Okay. Oh, absolutely. Right back at you. For our listeners, remember the Zoom recordings of every one of our interviews gets uploaded to the Educational AD Podcast YouTube channel. We appreciate you listening today. Come back again next time for another episode of the Educational AD Podcast, and just about every day for new content. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Before we go, we want to say thanks to Hometown Ticketing, the leading digital ticketing provider to schools and colleges. You can find out more about what Hometown Ticketing can do for you and your school by going to hometownticketing.com and talk to their experts. Hometown Ticketing, simple and easy online ticketing. Once again, we appreciate you listening to the Educational AD Podcast. We want to thank all of our sponsors. We'll go alphabetical. Area Scouts, our brand new sponsor. Athletic Surveys by LifeTrack. Final Forms, Hometown Ticketing, Huddle, Sideline Interactive, and Wall of Fame by Vital Signs. Thanks to all of our sponsors. Please check them out. They've got some really cool products, and we'll see you next time on the Educational AD Podcast.